starting to get a feel for this young Golden State Valkyries team and their first real measuring stick test heading out east to New York and facing the defending champion Liberty back-to-back games. And in the first game, Tuesday night, they get boat raced. It's 20-3 in the first 6 to 7 minutes of the game. And Nakase decided to go into a zone. And I think zone, listen, styles make fights, and I'm not saying that they can't ever use a zone defense, but I think zones, it tends to lend itself to teams with chemistry and familiarity that have played together for a long time, because you have to have, you just have to have a feel for each other. And clearly this Valkyries team was the fourth and fifth games ever of the organization, so they don't have that. And then you also look at the fact that they're trying to build this identity of physicality, toughness, and that's not zone mentality either. And so I think what Nakase has learned in this trip east to see the Liberty is, hey, like zone, probably not for us, right? It's not going to breed the culture that you're trying to build. And again, that's not to say that you don't flash a zone, but I don't think that the Valkyries, at least this season, are going to be a zone-heavy team. Game 2 last night, it's like, all right, how are they going to respond? You know, pride, competitiveness. Yes, you're outmatched against a team that's favored to win the championship again. Big difference is Jonquel Jones is out. They're on the front end of a back-to-back, and so she sits 6'6" center, spreads the floor, can shoot the three, and is just massive. And so that certainly changes things. But again, Nakase, learning from game 1, got out of that zone. We didn't see any zone in this game 2 matchup. But more importantly, what you saw was a fight in a spirit, a competitive spirit. Like, no, we're not about to get embarrassed like that. We're not going to get beat by 30 2 games in a row. We don't care if you are the best team in the league. And they were much more decisive attacking the Liberty defense and attacking the Liberty switching. Now, when you see this Liberty team, the two-women, how do you say that? Two-woman game? It doesn't sound right. The two-man game between Sabrina and Stewie, probably the best in the W, right? And if you want to make NBA comps, this Liberty team is, you know, it's like the 2018 Warriors. Steph, KD, they're coming off a chip. They're supposed to repeat. They're loaded. They add Natasha Cloud to the backcourt as a point of attack defender. And they're the top offense in the W by a long shot because they shoot the three. They've got chemistry. They've got a Hall of Fame. They've got it all. They get the whistle in the Barclays Center. And so how do you keep up offensively? Even if you're dialed in defensively, you still have to score the ball. And again, they took advantage early of some switches, but they made their threes, right? The Golden State is shooting more threes, the Valkyries, that is, more threes than any team in the W through these first 5 games. And I think they understand being a new organization, being a young team, and having all the disadvantages that come along with that. The one equalizer can be the 3-ball and playing harder than the opponent, which you can control the 3-ball. You know, I don't know if we have the personnel to shoot as many threes as we are, but last night they were able to match the offensive. Sabrina had 5 first half threes. Let's talk Janelle Salon, who hasn't seen a shot she doesn't like, right? Like, she is a chucker. I think part of that is with Tiffany Hayes still out with the nose injury, she's the only one that can really create her own shot. And so more than likely the staff is like, hey, you're going to have to put up some shots, right? But I don't think she minds it at all. And she ended up taking, I think, 19 shots to get 18 points. And she kind of wants to play like a guard. At 6'2", she's got, a great build. She's about the same size as Stewie. And at her age, looks like she could fill out even more. She's got a great build, but she is very much in love with the one dribble step back pull-up shot. And she's settling for a lot of difficult shots, not always at the end of the clock. I'd love to see her try to get downhill more because she's only 5 games into her W career. As the scouting report builds on her, teams are going to, realize that. Like, oh, she wants to take one dribble sidestep. She's going to take that. She's probably taken more contested long 2s and 3s than anyone in the W thus far. Like, she's taken a lot of them. And so I don't love the mechanic of it, but what I love is her confidence. And you watch enough hoops throughout the years, and it's not like an ugly shot per se. It's just not fundamentally sound. The leg kick, she brings it back behind her head. She likes to fade. You see enough scorers play the game of basketball, and you realize it doesn't always have to look pretty. It doesn't always have to look fundamental. You don't have to have the Klay Thompson textbook jumper. Some guys' mentality, confidence, rhythm allows them to just be a bucket getter and a shooter. And she is providing offense, albeit not efficiently. She's got to set screens better. She's not setting good screens for the guard. She's rebounding well. And so I'm encouraged in her first 5 games, but I want to see her get downhill. Can she develop a back to the basket game? Can she put her hip on somebody and get to her spot like Stewie did to her down the stretch of that game, right? Where she shot, 19 free throws? And she's trying to guard her with her arms and her upper body. You got to use your hips. So you see her inexperience, but you also see the potential of just a certified bucket and unafraid, unflappable confidence from young Janelle Salon. Moving into, actually, before we speak on the backcourt, let's talk about Temi Fagbenle. I'm cooling on her. You can see these glimpses, these flashes where she's skilled and she has a lot of great physical attributes. She can run the floor. She's got good hands. She can, footwork, turn over either shoulder. She shoots the 3. On paper, you're like, yeah, I like her. She's a perfect big for the way they want to play. But then in practice, when you watch her on the floor, she just doesn't have good feel. She doesn't have good IQ. She's a horrible screen setter. And if you notice, a lot of the turnovers that are happening, she's involved in the ball screen because whether she wants to pop or she wants to roll, like she's not on the same page. Defensively, there were a couple times last night where it's like she didn't step up on Sabrina coming off a screen. And so I say all that to say, I don't know how long she stays in the starting lineup when Mo Billings returns, and you saw her impact in the second half of that game last night where, listen, she's not going to give you the stretchability per se of Temi and some of the, gracefulness, but she's twice as good a screener. She seems to have more timing on the roll, but, better rebounder, better defender, better communicator. Like, I think that she's going to start to see more of Temi's minutes, as well as these names are killing me, y'all. We saw another girl here who had been injured out of Italy. I'm going to try to say it. Zendeliceni. I was calling her CZ in the breakdown. I got a 15-minute breakdown of this game on my Patreon right now. I'll leave the link in the description. But she comes back. She makes her debut. She played for Team Italy. She played for Minnesota. A part of that team who almost won it all, probably should have won it all, if we're being honest about that final game in New York last summer. But she can shoot. Right away, all you needed to do was see her take one shot, and you're like, oh, she's got a natural stroke, experience, feel, size, right? And so when you look at her and Mo Billings off the bench, if Temi can't sync up with the guards better and stop having so many brain farts, just with defensively, I could see her minutes decreasing and more Mo Billings and more of the girl from Italy who clearly can hoop, right? Moving into the backcourt, Veronica Burton shot 4 of 17 in these 2 games against the Liberty. And, the Liberty they're huge, right? With Stewie, and then when Jonquil's in there, and what's the big girl they got on the wing? And you're dealing with Cloud picking you up 90 feet, right? And so it makes sense stylistically because that she wants to get to the rim and get downhill, and their size negated that. And so she had a rough 2-game series against them. Carla, she only played 8 minutes last night. And if this Carla Van Loo thing is going to be kind of like a platooning situation for Nakase, like dependent on the matchup. And in a way, JVL, she kind of seems like a boom or bust player. Someone had said in the comments I saw, they were like, she's like Buddy Hield. And it's like, well, no, she's much more of a passer and playmaker than Buddy. But in the sense, I feel you of where it's like boom or bust night to night. Like she either looks great or she looks horrible. And, her tempo and her passing is very much needed because we're not that good in the half court offensively yet. But along with that comes the turnover. She's turnover prone. And I think that that's just who she is. One, because I think she's a natural risk taker. And then two, she at 5'8", some of the skip passes and passes she tries to make with her hand size, her arm length, again, her stature, the angles, it's not nearly as easy as for, say, like Paige Beckers or somebody, a 6-foot guard that can kind of see over the top and arm angle the ball. So she's going to be turnover prone, right? But, her tempo, her pace, I'd like to see more pick and roll action with her and Salon and see if they can build that rapport. She played well last night, hit a heads, couple of threes. Carla, on the other hand, you would expect, being the younger player, would be the weaker defender. She's probably the better defender than Van Loo. And from what I've seen, again, it's early, 5 games, but the way she gets over screens and her willingness to like mix it up defensively, is impressive at her stature. But again, only 8 minutes. I hope she's not chipped up. I haven't read anything about it, but she took a couple charges. She fought over the top of screens. Like she did her thing, but yeah, we'll see how the rotation goes. And then when Tiffany Hayes gets back, I think that probably is going to put everyone more in their natural role, where it's like, all right, Kayla Thornton's not taking end-of-game threes, hopefully, right? And Salon doesn't have to jack up so many contested shots. But you expect her back, I think, anytime soon. I don't know if she'll be back against Minnesota Sunday, but it should be soon. So just an impressive, encouraging effort to hang in this game against the Liberty till the end. I do want to talk about the end, because, was it a 3-point game? It was a 1-possession game, baseline out of bounds. I think it was a 3-point game, about 45 seconds to go, out of a timeout. And I thought Nakase made a couple of mistakes on that play. Again, I have it highlighted in the breakdown, but the play was for Salon to set a pick for Van Loo to come to the ball on the strong side. And then you had Mo Billings and Thornton on the weak side. The first mistake was Mo Billings and Thornton are just way better screeners than Salon. I understand you want Salon perhaps to get the shot, but she just doesn't set screens. Her and Temi, they're just not there. A lot of young players, that's just a thing, right? So I thought that was the mistake. You wanted Mo setting the screen and Salon in the weak side corner. And then the second part was the weak side of Thornton and Mo, there was no action. They just stood there. And the ref, on the 5-second count, I believe she gave Nakase 6. She gave her an extra beat to use the final timeout, and she didn't use it. And that was basically all she wrote. But again, it felt kind of like a moral victory. And, at this point, how young this organization is, I think there are such things as moral victories for them at this point. And I think that overall, the positive thing is Nakase is showing that she's building a culture and identity, and she's a motivator, right? They're playing hard and they're motivated. It's early, but we're also seeing, I think, some of her inexperience in executing down the stretch and maybe some of the rotation, finding out some of the rotations where, in contrast, this championship Liberty team, the next possession, they come down and they set up a play with Stewie just dive cutting to the rim. And they knew that they were all going to bite on Stewie, and Cloud turns the corner to her strong right hand, and that was it. That was it. But again, it was a good competitive matchup, a good response to the beatdown from Tuesday. As far as the Liberty go, I think what I'm really impressed with is Sabrina, and how she has the luxury of doing so because of Stewie and this roster. But she's become so good at picking her spots, when and where she's going to get her shots, right? Defensively, you can tell she's gotten stronger. She's never going to be the defender that's not going to get picked on, let's be honest, right? And that's why they brought Cloud in. And I think that's why Cloud holds so much of their fate, is because she might be the most physical guard in the league. She's got some mean in her, right? Like, she's nasty. If she has to stay healthy. If she's chipped up and she's not healthy come playoff time, I think that's where this Liberty team becomes vulnerable. Perimeter defense, because you look at how big they are, and they're all like these big, rangy forwards who you put them up high in screen and rolls, and asking them to defend above the three-point line against certain matchups is going to be problematic. So we'll see how that goes. The Valkyrie, they head to Minnesota. This is just a brutal road trip. Liberty, Lynx, arguably the second best team in this league. Maybe some would say the first. And so we'll see if Tiffany Hayes is back and if they can keep that one competitive. But again, this being the inaugural season of this team, what are your expectations here? And I think that we have to take moral victories and measure the growth rather than the win-loss column, this season, and especially early in this season. As far as Knicks and Pacers go, it's funny, man. I killed Brunson in that game 5. I think a lot of people did, and all of a sudden he wants to pass the ball. All of a sudden he's sharing the ball. He's hitting the head early. And no, I'm not surprised that New York was able to, defend their home court in an elimination game. But I still think Indiana's going to come out and throttle them game 6. And, New York Knicks fans, don't take it personal. I'm not rooting against you. I'm rooting for basketball. That's really what it is. But hey, I won't be mad at a game 7. And if it gets to a game 7, I will have that breakdown on the Patreon. And of course, we'll talk more Warrior news, more trade talk, more targets. There's always something to talk about. Y'all enjoy the weekend. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.